Well, and believe me, I could have pulled, because I had some fun this weekend with Alexandria. I could have pulled a lot of things. She has so much to say, because in her mind, I think she's the first person who's ever experienced the things that she thinks she's experiencing. And one of them is her feelings of failure and her thoughts on work as she waxes philosophic. And folks, I want you to listen carefully to what she has to say here.
You work and you work and you work, and you always feel like you're failing and you're failing and you're failing. And you think so often like, if I just get this job, or if I just move to an apartment that's a little bit bigger, or if I just, do X, Y, Z, if I make this change, if I dress a little cooler or something like that, I will be happy. And what I've found is that I used to feel like a failure a lot, and I still feel like a failure a lot. Just yesterday, I felt like I was failing. Every day, I still feel like I'm failing.
Every day she feels like she's failing, and I have to concur. I think she is failing. But just think about how much work she put into her life ahead of time. And she just worked and worked and worked for what, like 3-4 years? Mm-hmm. I mean, the Herculean level of effort that she put in. And I have to say, I've never once thought that I was just going to change my clothes and totally change my self-esteem.
I couldn't really relate to that.
So I couldn't relate to what she was saying, but I wanted to share it with you because I think that's a little bit of a window into her mind. And by the way, folks, she's pretty self-important. But let's hear what she thinks about when she's criticized. What does that mean?
It is heavy, but in a weird way, that stuff is validation that you're doing something real. Because if you're just flying under the radar, trying to, get your check, like not rock the boat, then what's the point of being in politics? What is the point of doing things if you're just trying to maintain a status quo that doesn't help people?
Yeah, what's the point of being conservative? She wants to be a revolutionary, a radical. And if you're doing something, of course, you're going to get criticized. And, of course, now we're going to hear from her that she's pretty well convinced that she's the only person who can save us, who can save the whole planet. Listen to this.
I just felt like the fact that that whole premise existed, the fact that if you run, your life will be over. If you run, you'll definitely lose. If you run, all these people will come at you, is wrong. Like, it's morally wrong. And so I felt that as long as what I was doing was right, then I had an obligation to do it. Not, I need to do this so that I can be successful, or I need to do this because this is my next career step. It really felt like I need to do this because it's the right thing to do. And if I don't do it, clearly no one else is going to do it.
Right. If she doesn't step up to the plate and save our civilization, clearly nobody else is going to do it.
Nobody else is smart enough to do that.
And I just got to love, she's obviously such a deep thinker, very certain that she's right about everything. Because, of course, she wouldn't be doing something if she wasn't already in the right, as she told us. So, these are just a few little windows into the way that this woman thinks. And she's got a lot of people who support her and think that maybe they ought to listen to what she has to say. Like maybe she is worthy of being in charge of something. And what the coup de grace clip here, we're going to get to it, which is the one that you really got to hear, folks, because this is the one where the teeth really come out a little bit. And I think she starts to reveal a little bit more about what she's actually thinking and feeling. And what you're going to learn is when she talks about not having a hamburger for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, she's pretty serious. She thinks she's going to be in charge of you. And remember all that talk about how the Green New Deal was going to be difficult? And, to get rid of fossil fuels, it was going to require us to do things that we hadn't done before. All at her instruction, all at her bidding. She's the one who wants to decide what it is that we're all going to have to do, including not eat hamburgers, not drive cars, get rid of cows, etc., to save the planet. And this is all because she thinks she's in charge of us. So now this is a little bit of a longer clip to build up to the point, but listen to what she has to say about that.
And literally what I saw when that email was forwarded to me was my inner voice.
hold on, let me stop right there because I want to explain what she's talking about there. She got an email forwarded to her, which basically somebody had said some negative things about her in the email. And, of course, one of her moles, because this was an internal email that wasn't supposed to be forwarded to her, and I thought that was kind of an interesting point, one of her liberal moles inside forwarded her the email, and this hurt her feelings. So I'm going to start the clip over there just so you understand what email she's talking about. And it had hurt her feelings because the people had not said nice things about her in the email.
And literally what I saw when that email was forwarded to me was my inner voice. It was every critical, horrible thing that I was already saying to myself, that I was already battling when I was getting up out of bed. It was the voice, it was me looking at myself in the mirror, externalized in an email. And that moment was actually really freeing because I read it. And it was like, you know, it's your worst fear. It's especially when you feel like imposter syndrome. It was your worst fear, feeling like someone was going to find you out as like a fraud. And I read it and I was like, you know what? I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. Because, again, I'm at least trying and they're not. So the power is in the person who's trying, regardless of the success. If you're trying, you've got all the power. You're driving the agenda. You're doing all this stuff. Like, I just introduced Green New Deal 2 weeks ago, and it's creating all of this conversation. Why? Because no one else has even tried. Because no one else has even tried. So people are like, oh, it's unrealistic. Oh, it's vague. Oh, it doesn't address this little minute thing. And I'm like, you try. You do it.
Right.
Because you're not. Because you're not. So until you do it, I'm the boss. How about that?
How about that? How about that? Until you do it, I'm the boss, okay?
That's kind of like when you're, you know, we joke around the house, hey, did you do this or whatever? No, you do it.
Yeah.
No, you are. No, you are. That's the level of maturity when you're having that conversation.
Tell us again where that conversation took place.
That was up in New York City in front of a very friendly audience. Yeah. And the person who was there asking her the questions could not have been more supportive of her every whim. So
it was a friendly environment.
It was a super friendly environment. People were very fired up. I cut some of the applause and stuff because I was trying to make the clip a little more listenable. But they're fired up about that. They want her to be the boss. And basically what she's saying is sit down and shut up. I'm in charge around here. And if you're not receiving that message, I don't think you listen to the clip very well because that's exactly what she's saying. Now, what I find sort of interesting from a psychology standpoint is look at all the lead up to those statements because she's obviously somebody who's got some real deep-seated self-esteem issues. Mm-hmm. She wakes up every single day feeling like a failure. In fact, she just felt like a failure yesterday and probably today. And frankly, she is a failure, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. But okay. So she's also got an imposter syndrome. You notice that? She feels like an imposter a lot, like she shouldn't be where she is because, you know what? She's not smart enough. She doesn't actually understand anything. She's really not qualified. So I think these kind of things give you a window into her psychology. And is this the kind of person that we want to be the boss of us? Is this the person we want to put in charge? Somebody who's clearly dealing with a lot of, I don't know if you want to call them mental health issues. I suppose that's a broad enough term to encompass all of that stuff. But she's not completely well adjusted. And she's obviously not that bright. She's not able to understand that she's not the first 20-something that's ever lived. And, of course, now you're showing me something where she's saying maybe we shouldn't even reproduce in order to fight climate change. So this is the kind of stupidity, but it's a stupidity combined with a real arrogance.
She suggested on Sunday night that people should consider not having children due to climate change because there's a scientific consensus that life will be hard for kids.
Well, look, you got your choice, all right? You can either eat hamburgers or have children, but you can't do both. How about that?